let's get going with this business. So
All right.
when we last met, the king is coming. The king is coming.
Yes.
Um, the king of Boston is coming. So when we last met, it was a sad day. Um, for some,
Oh,
sad day for
ooh.
some. Uh,
Oh.
It's a pretty good day for me. I got out of there.
that's yeah. Willow and Jacob are like is pretty fantastic. That's great.
I guess I wasn't one of Jacob's pawns.
Mm.
um, but yes, we bid adieu to Jack Travers, hostage rescue. But as I may have said at the time, but certainly said in the intervening week to Chris. In a situation where time and place are mutable. I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going on with Jack? It's like Schrodinger's cat, simultaneously alive and dead inside the Dorchester house or the night floors or wherever else the
Crushed and
the
uncrushed.
king exactly happens to dwell. Um, and so that being said, it was an opportunity to introduce a new character to our merry band.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the first thing I'll say is Jacob and Willow. I had described you had in this sort of mad um, and hurried attempt to escape this ever growing clown child of the deep basement of the Dorchester house. Um, you had drunk deep of the Patsu and had found yourselves transported and awoke in the middle of an empty, dusty room with sunlight streaming through a window that has no blinds, no window treatment at all. You clearly hasn't been sort of inhabited in a while, but on the floor, fairly fresh amidst the dust, is this large symbol, one evocative of the ones you've seen crop up, both on that golden symbol, not the sign, but the symbol from Abigail's apartment, also the symbols that Timothy Bale was inscribing in
Mm-hmm.
his notebook, and so seems to have some greater meaning. But you woke both of you uh, sort of splayed out in the middle of this room, middle of this floor, in this symbol, feeling the worst hangover of your lives.
Like I had a drink of flat ginger ale and whiskey.
I know, and you are going to regret it.
Ah!
Just drink the whiskey. Why the flat ginger ale?
Mm.
So yeah. So that is where you found yourselves after the encounter in the basement of the Dorchester house. Um,
When you said fairly fresh, I thought you were going to say that like I was a corpse, like just fairly fresh as a
fairly
body.
fresh as a body.
Mm.
No, yeah, we do know that Jack in his last moments, uh, or who knows, in the moments, in the grip of this clown, that he had seen sort of his sort of the how would you call it, the fulfillment of one of his core motivations, finding Vic Getty. I mean, certainly he did what's right. I think we can say by his standard in trying to intervene and save the others. But finding Vic Getty was a core motivation of Jack's, and in a sense, he found him in amidst the masquerade ball, um, and Abigail Wright as well. But that is knowledge not for you. That is for Jax to know, and perhaps you to find out later. So when you two awaken and begin to stir, and sort of, I think one of you probably croaks out some strangled noise, trying to speak for the first time. After awakening and looking at each other and waiting for Jack to materialize beside you or to be there. The dryness in your throat and the lingering aftertaste of the ashen potsu. You clings heavy on your tongue. But you hear a noise from the hallway. And you sort of give each other looks as footsteps you sound out on the wooden floor in the hallway outside this room you're in. And the footsteps stop at the door, and the doorknob turns, and in walks
Can we have a bee that they heard me sort of jiggling with the
jiggling with the knob, sort of clutching each other in terror? I don't know. Is that there?
No, I meant like the door was locked, and I
Oh yes, you're jiggling with the knob, and then all of a sudden a little rattle and a click as the sort of the plunger on the back of the door pops out, and the doorknob turns, and the door opens, and you see this youngish, fairly handsome guy on the other side with a sliver of metal in his hand. And he sort of looks in and sees you two there. We're going to cut away. Charlie Croker, safecracker, when he's trying to talk himself up. Burglar, when he's trying to just state what he does simply. Thief to many, or just, I don't know, layabout, no good, trouble to certain others. But Charlie Croker also, unbeknownst to many people, most if not everyone else, is also Agent Valentine of the ill-fated Cell V of Boston. And Charlie, you have a story of your own. I don't know if you'd like to sort of speak to what connected you to Delta Green, what got you in at all, or if you'd sort of just like, just as with the others, if you'd like them to sort of assume the worst and leave the truth for another time. But you tell me.
I assume, given his background or his past experiences on the Delta Green front, that he wouldn't immediately launch into his story, but would be a little bit suspicious of trying to.
Oh no, absolutely. Yep.
Gauge whether if they were themselves or what. I think if he gets more comfortable, he probably communicate more of what brought him in. But
Yeah.
I feel like his first instinct would be to
hold tight to that. That's fair. Yeah. But we will, for the sake of
I would volunteer that. Sorry,
no.
Agent Valentine and the Group V, and was I sent to? Sorry, I can't remember. Was I sent to rendezvous with him,
Mhm.
or
So for the sake of the players,
okay.
we're going to roll this back,
Oh, right,
and we're
right.
going to have a little bit of
Sorry.
a flashback here
Yep.
to
Ooh.
months prior to the Dorchester House incident, which we know was taking place in sort of the start of September, but dating back to June of this year, Cell V was activated, and Cell V, composed of Charlie Croker, Agent Valentine, Michael Whitwer, Agent Vega, and Dr. Elias Barbas,
Mm.
Agent Vance, were given the assignment, Operation Mercy, to investigate a potential incursion in the Dorchester house. And the three of you had um been told that there were sort of operational irregularities with Dr. Dolan that had cropped up, and a suspicion, particularly given the transfer um, of certain new patients, especially those sort of outside the usual norms of the Dorchester House, that had sort of triggered the need for deeper investigation. And so Cell V had um, had done what Cell V generally does best, which is given that you have a DEA agent and a forensic scientist and a safecracker / burglar, uh, that you observed and surveilled and broke in to a number of places to sort of try and figure out what's going on. And um, despite despite trying as hard as you could not find the location of Dr. Dolan's last known address, sort of the place where you
Mm.
knew that he was supposed to have resided. Simply the address skipped a number on the street. Um, you you found that many of the staff um, were irregular at best in returning to their homes. Head nurse Esther Samagina uh, nominally lived with her husband and their teenage son. It seemed all was fine with them until you noticed that only one of them ever left the house. It would either be the son or the father or Esther. Only one would ever leave, be out in the world, and only one of them would ever return. Wouldn't necessarily be the same, but something didn't add up there.
It's a super creepy detail.
Mm.
Something didn't make sense. You crept into her home when she was out, just to check to see somebody else in the house. No, they would leave a radio on, and there was this odd sort of scratching that you kept noticing in the upstairs bathroom. Couldn't quite figure out where it was coming from. But the most you found is that Esther Samagina seemed to be hard at work making costumes at a sewing machine at her dining room table. A mixture of what appeared to be sort of for a community production, a bellhop's uniform, a bunch of fresh paper mache masks, and a number of sort of quickly stitched silver robes made out of cheap material. In addition to a palette of what appeared to be paint thinner, that was left at the top of the stairs, the house reeked of it. You got yourself out of there. Irregularities, discrepancies, oddities. You finally resolved to try a head-on approach. Oh, I'm gonna savor my drink. Won't wait for Chris to return.
It's not as bad as we're suggesting. Yeah, the ginger ale isn't super fresh.
Neither is the whiskey.
Neither is the whiskey. It makes them blend together better, though. Like they have the common.
They have something in
denominator.
common. That's right.
That's right.
The age and the tinge have been
flatness.
slightly off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now let's see here. While he
Did he find any like red clown noises?
strangely enough, no, not
No clown noises.
recalls.
Okay.
Nothing he recalls. But there actually was no, yeah, you smelled the paint thinner at that point. You'd seen enough. You got out of there. You decided a head-on approach was the next best thing. And Agent Vance, Dr. Barbas, had a personal relationship with Dr. Dolan, and it was felt that he was perhaps the best suited to make contact and to evaluate Dr. Dolan's state of mind and his sort of level of corruption by whatever this nominal incursion happened to be. And so one afternoon in July, Dr. Barbas went into Dorchester House, and he didn't return. And you waited, and you waited. And it took you a while to sort of swing around, realize that Dr. Barbas, at some point, you weren't sure, Agent Vance was back, but he hadn't made contact with you. He was he went back in the office a little bit, but then seemingly just began to not show up, and went about some other set of business and agenda that he was pursuing for a number of weeks. And so yet again, you surveilled, you observed. You and Whitwer. Whitwer at this point was getting frantic calls from the office about why he wasn't coming back, and so he was having to make all sorts of excuses. He as well had a fiancée back in L.A. or in Las Vegas, who was really concerned with him being away for an extended period, and also simultaneously seemed to be having some sort of other set of issues, like a missing friend and something else that was cropping up that was sort of drawing on his attention and concerning him. But he and you began to tail Barbas, who was making trips down to the junkyard and to a bunch of hardware stores around town. He was going back and forth to the Dorchester house on a regular basis, and always at night, and sort of holing up in his house. The mail was piling up on the front doorstep, and you noticed odd figures. There's this sort of woman in this white diaphanous gown, black hair, who you spied one day through sort of an upper level window. You're looking up and you thought you saw her sort of gazing down at the street at you. And you tried to grab the camera to take a picture, and before you could, she was gone. there was this one individual who you took a picture of. I'll show this to everyone. Who you observed going into Barbas's house one day, and you followed up with Cell A because you couldn't find any information. So you sent off to Cell A or rather, I should say, Vega sent off to LA or to Cell A, and you got this unusual response that they identified the individual as another missing Delta Green agent named Emmett Mosby. But there was something unusual, for further wrinkle, which is that Emmett Mosby, pull this up here. Emmett Mosby was indeed missing, but he went missing in 1951. That he had been working on some sort of task after World War II. He had worked in the, from what you gathered from, they sent sort of an assignment listing, that he had been assigned to reading through and sort of providing analysis of documents of a paranormal nature that had been collected after World War II. And so he basically worked in the archives, not a person of much note. And he had been working on a particular job. And in October of 1951, he boarded a ship for a spring vacation in Europe, he said. And there was a note there from the personnel files, because at this point Delta Green was an actual sort of honest-to-God agency, and so they had personnel files, and his supervisor had made a note on his request for extended vacation, saying that Mosby had said that he was on to the continent first, and then to court. And he was never heard from again until July of 2015, going into Agent Vance's house. With that information, you realized, you and Vega both realized, that the incursion seemed to be growing greater, more severe, and you sort of tried to figure out how much you wanted to sort of panic. Vega was the one who kept saying, because you kept asking him, shouldn't we just tell Cell A? Can't they do something? Can't we just, they'll bring in a team, they'll do something. And he kept saying, we are the team. We need to handle this. And so he got you to break into Barbas's car one night after Barbas had made an extended circuit around town. It had just come back from Dorchester House, had gone into the house. You noticed oftentimes he would sort of bring things in and out, either machinery under a tarp, or different books or papers. And you had observed him at Dorchester House earlier that night, exiting the front with this large box, like a banker's box, of documents, putting it in the trunk of his car, and then driving back home. You had actually seen this figure, Emmett Mosby, helping him bring the box to the car before Mosby went back into Dorchester House. Vance got home. He looked bad. He looked terrible by this point. Didn't seem as if he slept much. He sort of got out of the car, almost made to go for the trunk, and then kind of stumbled around and went into the house. And you realized this was your chance. You rushed over, picked the lock on the trunk, and inside there was this box still. You grabbed it, closed the trunk gently, made for the car, and you and Vega took off back to the Boxer Hotel, where you had been sort of staying for the past month or so, on sort of this sort of rundown but at least comfortable extended stay hotel locally. And you examine the box. You realized that this box contained an absolute, how to put this, just filled with papers, hundreds of papers and journals and photos, ranging in date, ranging in language. It seemed as if a good half of the box was historical documentation of some sort, that it was something that came out of a file that originated seemingly at like the turn of the century, like around 1895, and originally was the Du Ime Bureau write-up, which I'm going to butcher it, but basically the Military Intelligence Bureau in France, a file that had been compiled on a write-up of a Parisian outbreak of madness surrounding the performance of Le Roi en Jaune, the King in Yellow. It's extensive. Interviews with all sorts of individuals, interrogation materials, photos, even in French, what was purported to be copies of the manuscript, sort of handwritten pages of the play. And then about a quarter of the file is an investigation. It seems as if it was seized by the Gestapo in the taking of Paris in 1941, turned over to German intelligence, and eventually a group that within the sort of German intelligence hierarchy that's labeled as the Karotechia, and they examined the file after it had been placed in storage as a generally questionable file, and it had been examined in a cursory nature, and determined that a name found in the attached play, Hastur, is associated with the myth cycles found in such works as the Necronomicon. And a quarter of the file associated with U.S. intelligence when the U.S. 4th Armored Division on the 20th of July 1944 rolled in and took possession of the files. It was then, eventually, to find its way into the hands of a small intelligence agency called Delta Green, and into the archives and hands of Emmett Mosby, who, it seems, determined that it was of highly potent value and should be restricted. But the notes indicate the author read the play in its entirety, found it unremarkable, but did produce an English language translation, enclosed and attached, for review. And the date on that um, on that translation happens to be, you might not guess it, right before the departure of Emmett Mosby on his European vacation. You in particular, because Vega said he would go out and continue with surveillance. He needed you to read through as much as you could, and so you poured over it as much as was possible. The one thing that stood out to you was a photograph in the file that was purported to be of some hotel where the play had been sort of the performance. The director had planned for a grand reception after the first performance, and so there were some photos of the space prior to the play, and in particular this old sort of silver type photograph of the lead actress. And you're looking at it and you realize there's a piece of tape across it indicating the name of this bellhop. You look closely and you swear that is the younger Dr. Elias Barbas standing there in a bellhop costume at the front of the photo. You don't understand how that could be. Vega, after a few days of this, you and Vega sleeping fitfully, having all sorts of dreams, some of which you're alluding to each other about, but neither of you is sleeping well. And you keep having dreams of the window not being a window in your room, that it's a mirror, or just a pane of glass to someplace else. And you're in the throes of one of those nightmares when you wake up sort of expecting yourself to be in the sort of sweat-damp sheets, when you find yourself restrained on a bed in the Dorchester house. And you hear Michael Whitwer down the hall yelling. You begin to yell as well. But maybe it's that sense of self-preservation holds out. You keep your head and you sort of use some of the tricks you've learned to wriggle your wrist out and get out of the restraints and slip through the open door into the hallway. And you see at this point the sun sort of beginning to set outside, and something tells you you need to get out of there right away. And you aren't sure why it is or how it happens, but the doors are open as you go. and you run as fast as you can away from the shouts of Agent Vega, out of the Dorchester house as dusk begins to settle in, and you hide for the next few weeks. Until you get a frantic call from your girlfriend, who you've kept at arm's length because you have continued to have these odd dreams. You've also, yeah, you've also noticed something else weird, which is there's this small red leather-bound book. When you left the Dorchester house, you found it in your pocket. It has this odd symbol sort of embossed on the front. And inside is beautifully typed version of The King in Yellow in English, Emmett Mosby's translation. And you've tried to throw it away and to burn it and to throw it into the harbor. And every day it shows back up in your pocket. You get a call from your girlfriend saying she and her uncle received this letter from a law firm. Sorry, her father. Thank you. Saying that they received a letter from this law firm out in California that is just completely disrupted sort of what calm they had around your disappearance, your sort of extended time away. But this law firm, Keyes, Norris, Ingalls, and Grant, have indicated that they have picked up the loan on your girlfriend's father's house as well as on his bar, and seemingly on every amount of personal debt he holds, and have politely asked that in order to prevent them calling in those loans, that that they pass a letter on to you. That a client of theirs has a strong interest in making sure that this letter is delivered, and they have a belief that you're the one person who can do it. And so, to appease your girlfriend and her father, you arrange for a time for her to pass this FedEx envelope on to you that they've sent, this law firm has sent. And you rip open the top when you're alone again. And you see inside that there's, on this sort of rich yellow linen paper, there's an address, a date, and a time, and the names Jacob Hess, Willow Barnett, and the names Jack Travers. Jack Travers has been struck through. And so you take possession of this, and the wax seal on the back bears the same symbol as the symbol on that book that you can't quite get rid of.
So, I mean, at least that's not ambiguous. Like, I guess the invitation was that drew the three of them together in the first place. I can sort of assume that it's not a good scene necessarily, but I gotta go. but that makes me more suspicious, I guess, of the two of them when I walk in
Right.
the room.
Now I should say it's important that uh, underneath the names, uh, there is also a parenthetical. Uh, Operatives of the group known as Delta Green, uh, in sort of parentheses, and that triggers as well another thought for you, which is, you were the one who kind of wanted to reach out to Cell A and call in, you don't know, a drone strike, whatever the hell this outfit could levy. But you were never. I mean, you were the new guy on the team. You never had the hookup. You never had the number, whatever it is, the beeper number, the fax number, whatever it was that Vega and Vance had that could connect them through to Cell A or other parts of the conspiracy. You never had
Apparently,
that.
my character is always going to be the outsider.
And it occurs to you that if what this what this letter purports is true, and there are others in the organization that may be there, they may have that access. And so one thing that sort of drives you is this need to report on, or like plant the flag and say, this is a problem, people. So that is, I'll do it for you, but I'll assume you, because we already walked through it. You show up. Whether you show up armed and how suspicious you show up, that is entirely at your
Got a
discretion.
pocket nuke in
Yeah.
my pocket. Um, yeah, I mean, I'd probably try to scrounge what I could. I mean, I think I'm sort of good with a melee weapon, so I'd probably have maybe like a decent knife and at the least, and then maybe some sort of portable small explosive. Because after what I've gone through,
Yeah.
I want to be ready for either option.
Absolutely. So yeah, so back to,
And also, I've got my, very helpful little book on me, I guess.
I mean, I don't know whether you tried to throw it away this morning, but
I'm sure I hucked it out the window as I took a taxi over to the drift.
now the fantastic thing, that Charlie may not have realized yet, is it's not the same book. So the city of Boston
What?
thanks you for proliferating it around town.
Yes,
Every
I'm just
copy he's thrown out the window
turn
is
somebody crazy. Yeah.
So yes, so Willow and Jacob, you wake to this fellow just ambling on in.
Yeah, I'm a little twitchy. Maybe you guys have become twitchy too, but I've gone through a decent amount, especially recently. I've been scared to fall asleep because of that magic act where I fell asleep in the hotel where we were based while staking out the Dorchester house, and then I woke up. Both of us somehow transported to Dorchester House, and we were strapped in. Somehow I escaped. No doubt feel horribly about leaving. Was it Agent Vega behind? Would I know it was Whitwer by that time?
You would, yeah. No, again, sort of, and you don't, won't play out the scene, but sort of, Whitwer in particular was sort of a no bullshit sort of person, and at one point, he was like, I know it makes sense from cell to cell, but if we're going to do this work together, then I want to know who I'm working with. And so one night over scotch or beer or whatever it was, you and Barbas and he, um, spilled your guts to each other.
I think they were actually having whiskey ginger ales, weren't
They probably were some delicious whiskey ginger ales, right?
Yeah, it was the night right before they got teleported with crazy hangovers. And,
Yeah, super crazy
trapped
hangovers.
down in Dorchester House.
Yeah.
You guys should check in with us tomorrow morning, just FYI.
It's so weird. We've located their cell phones in Dorchester. Yeah, so I assume I'd be no nonsense. Or are they just starting to stir I guess they're sitting up when I
Yeah, they sort of look at you. I won't speak for them, but I imagine there'd be some sort of surprise and maybe
Who the hell are you?
suspicion. Yes.
Yeah, that's what we both sound like.
I've come to the seared orange part of my cocktail.
You know,
Yeah.
Delicious.
to jazz this up, I'm gonna float some chemical trick.
Really crumble it up.
Right in the top there. It's a novelty beverage. Okay, sorry, please go ahead.
Are you Delta Green operatives? Is anybody else in the house?
Are you?
Yes, I am. Cell B.
Yes, we are too.
We don't know though about anybody else. We just woke up here. We think we're not quite. We have no idea what's going on.
What day is it?
So
What year is it?
Yeah, Jacob asked you. He's like, "What year is it?" That sort of.
we're at 2015, right?
Yeah.
I think my character's only ever been in 2015, as far as he knows. At this point, anyway. So 2015.
Well, at least we're still there.
Do you know where you are?
No. Do you know where we are?
You're in Dorchester?
Still?
Yes. So did you come here by yourselves?
No, where's Jack?
Who's Jack?
Last I saw him, he was fighting with a clown. Thought he was right behind me.
Clown?
And Charlie, you know, on the paper it said there was supposed to be a Jack, but again, that got
An ever-growing
I
child
show
clown.
them the letter. I was told to come here at this time, and that the two of you would be here. There was a Jack, but his name's crossed out. I don't know what that means.
Oh God, he didn't make it.
Where were you? Where did you this came from?
Charlie asks, "Why did you leave him behind?"
Why would you do that to one of your teammates? Probably your most talented teammate.
Okay, you have no information on that.
Jack can talk to squirrels, okay?
Oh God, we were at Dorchester House.
Dorchester House? How long were you there? I don't like the sound of that.
Yeah. Most importantly, are you Charlie or Charlie?
That's a good question.
Yeah. And
My
is it
Masswell
is it
accent-
Croker or Croca?
My Masswell accent comes and goes when I want it to.
When you get drunk,
Right, when I'm drunk, it comes
Or
out.
drunk the pot too.
Yes.
So me and my teammates were investigating the Dorchester House because it seems to have been corrupted, and it actually affected other members of my team. And last I knew, did you see a person there, Michael Whitwer, or Agent Vega, as I knew him?
Good old sprockets. Yeah. Yeah, he was spitting out sprockets.
He wasn't spinning out sprockets at Dorchester House, was he?
Kind of. He was kind of there. Dorchester House, kind of not at Dorchester House. It was actually like years ago, but not like we were in New York, but at Dorchester House.
You see, there was a phone and it was full of dirt.
Is he always like this?
And then
Yeah.
the walls kind of fell down because they weren't really walls, but there was a war. That's another story. It doesn't all really make sense.
Maybe we should go get some Dunkins. Maybe that'll help you
Uh,
pull us
That'll
together.
help.
Oh, back
There
then
we
it was Dunkin' Donuts.
Did you say donuts?
Our colleague here is quite a fan.
Thankfully, I already
Pastries.
know how to motivate this guy.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing I would like from Jacob and Willow, if you could each give me 2 D100 rolls.
This is to see how much Potsu is still in you.
Yeah. We do them one at a time?
You could do 2 D100. I think it's fine because I can still read the results. So /R 2 D100. Oh yeah, perfect. So 39 and 62 for Jacob.
I want to take a couple more rolls before we leave this room too.
Yeah, we will.
No, I mean there's actually something I want to look at.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Something you want to look at in the house?
Yeah,
In the room?
the symbol on the floor. Can I make an occult roll to figure out what the hell it is?
Absolutely.
Sorry, is it the same symbol as on the book?
No,
Thank
different.
goodness.
Yeah, and Willow. Let's see.
Did
And,
some rolling.
yeah, did it show up? Oh yeah, there we go. Got it.
141.
Yep. And Jack. Sorry, Jack. Charlie.
Oh.
Charlie, if you could give me one
Oh,
D100
it's
roll.
just not right.
Sort of sad because Jack's still up there, isn't he?
Well,
Yeah. Well, there's the information I have for you. Okay.
15?
Hmm.
The hits just keep on coming. 15.
Could be good if you want a low number.
Right.
So, Jacob and Willow, we have to do a little bit of reckoning here. I would like 3 sanity rolls from each of you.
3?
3 total.
I was just thinking I haven't talked to Bibliophile online in a while.
No, you'll have to check your phone, see if you've gotten any.
Hey, you seem to really fixated on
DMs.
the Rust Breeds recently.
That's true.
Oh no!
Oh, ow, ouch.
it's a good story.
Whoa.
Ooh, very nice. Okay.
Oh.
All right, 3.
Yep.
Come on, come on.
That's quite a roller coaster. A fumble,
Yeah,
a
right.
critical, and
No, but that's then holding it together.
Narp. Narp.
Ooh. What's the
There.
opposite of holding it together?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Falling apart.
And I just watch one of the two of you just sort of melt away.
Yeah, basically. That checks
Yeah.
out.
So, Jacob, this is from that. 1d6 sanity loss for you.
1d6.
And this is associated with your experience in the basement with Dr. Friend in the cotton candy room. And sort of the psychedelic nature of that encounter. Yeah. And although actually no, you had a critical fumble on that. So I'm sorry. That should be a total of 6. You just lose 6 flat out.
Fine.
I don't know. And for Willow, Let's see. So Willow, I need
0 sanity.
give me a 1d4 and 2d6.
Ooh.
1d4.
Nice.
And
2d6. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Okay.
averages out.
So, Willow, you're going to take a hit of 11 total, but
11?
here's the good part. I need another 2d6 from each of you, Jacob and Willow.
Stop it.
Here's the good news.
There's the good news.
Wait, what's the good news?
Well, roll the 2d6 and we'll find out.
Wait, so I have to take off 11 points of sanity first.
Yeah.
11.
Yeah. We'll talk about your upcoming disorder.
I have 12 points left.
Your character creation.
Yeah, seriously. Okay, and sorry, one more time. What am I rolling?
2d6.
Here's the good news.
Here's the good news. So I would like. So you were down by 11. I'd like you to go up by 7. And Jacob, you go up by 5.
Yeah, boy.
So
What a
eight.
gracious and
19.
kindly handler I am. That is the relief at, despite feeling like shit, showing up in the relative normality of this room at daytime.
We can
and
tell it's daytime?
oh yeah, the light's just pounding right through, which isn't helping the hangover, but yeah. So Willow, we have a nice little flag for.
Not doing great.
Let's just say your paranoia is kind of kicking in.
Oh yeah.
All right, so yeah, I think Duncan's was the order of the day. Dunkin' Donuts. I'm sorry.
We still have the occult roll that.
Oh, an occult roll. Yes. So what you see, thank you, Jacob, is, and actually the two others of you can give occult rolls as well. Oh, and I'm sorry, actually, Jacob, what is your occult?
51.
All right. So no, you don't. You're good on this. I'm sorry, I had you roll, but I didn't actually need to, because you.
I did roll success on my
Perfect. Yeah, and all right. So Willow's otherwise occupied, but both of you realize
Such a disaster.
because especially this is not like some of Jacob. The others that you saw were relatively tiny, maybe only saw them in passing, right? You recognize, and Charlie, you also. Not sure where you would have seen this. Maybe you have a cousin who's really into the occult, but you realize that this sort of blown out symbol, the seal that's there, these letters spelling out MALPHAS, Malphus, and you realize that it's like a fairly, you call it mainstream, but like mainstream occult symbol, like associated with demonology, of all things. And Malphus, the sort of assumption here would be Malphus would be one of these, demons or like princes of hell, in this old school demonology that still is. You could go and Google it, that would pop up as a sort of common target of occult or alchemical kooks.
Okay, well, this doesn't seem to be good. We should probably get out of here and the fact that this symbol
Did you
may
draw
have,
this?
may
Um,
have
yes, and then you also have your delivery too. But you can vacate to the nearest Dunkies, um, and it is fairly early in the morning at this
Right, we
point.
got a morning rush.
Yeah. Well, you're even ahead of them. Like it's like the early shift people who are.
So when we're finally able to check what the date is, what is it in comparison to when we went in? Is it
You've lost 3 days.
okay?
That wasn't so bad. It wasn't like we lost 20 years.
No, exactly.
That's 3 days.
What's 3 days?
we've all been on benders like that before,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
Um, yeah. So
Yeah.
you decamp at the Dunks, and you're able to get a little table there.
Jacob gets a extra large coffee, regular, like not coffee, but iced coffee. That he
Yes.
promptly gets a brain freeze from after like trying to suck it down to get the Patsu taste out of his mouth.
Nice.
And of course has like half a dozen donuts because like why not?
Why not?
I get like a really big, super weirdly colored culotta. Like the blue, like raspberry ones they used to make.
Oh yeah, I started to joke about the faux meat, but in 2015 they probably didn't even have it.
No, not yet.
Oh God, that's right.
No. But yeah, culottes for sure. Like
Yeah.
green or blue, something neon.
Yeah, big time, big time.
Yeah. What's Charlie get? Coffee, black.
Black. He's a safe cracker.
He's a safe
Small
cracker. I was just gonna
coffee.
say, but are you also a Boston born and bred? So you get the two dumps of sugar and a pint of creamer in it, right?
I don't want to be jittery. It's not good for my profession. So
Yeah, that's true.
I always just make. Oh no, wait. I've been sleeping well. I started
you
to say
haven't.
I always make sure to get enough sleep. So yeah, I get a large. Still
Yeah.
black coffee, no sugar.
Good. Okay. Great. And yeah, you sit down at the table, looking at each other, still sensing it out. I mean, you get the impression, one side to the other, of sort of an earnestness and shared trauma that is familiar to you from your days working in Delta Green. This sense of sitting in this little island of normality among all the other people sort of eventually coming in, and the sort of morning rush that's coming through, and you're sitting there with these great secrets on your mind, wondering, and trying your sort of instinct, your back brain, trying to write it off as a false memory, as something that couldn't have happened, and your forebrain fighting it and insisting that yes, it's true, it happened, and you need to do something about it.
I think I'm still focused on trying to get the word back to Delta Green to try to get action. I guess this character would be a little bit more, maybe a little more selfish, but still wondering if we can help the teammate, left behind, Whitwer. But I would like to sort of run through quickly to them, like in summary, what I went through recently,
Yep.
and then trying to gauge where they're at, trying to confirm that they're still on the same team and haven't been corrupted. I try to get their story about as as great in depth as I can get, like what they went through, how long they were there, how they got out, to help me gauge that, if they're willing to tell me.
Yeah.
Are you
Willow, Jacob,
tell me?
or how do you want to be entirely forthcoming? Do you want to hold back on anything?
I think I'm gonna hold back on drinking the potsu,
The Potsu,
and,
yeah,
and where the potsu comes from.
where the Potsu comes from. Yes.
I'll let him do the talking because I'm having a time.
Yeah, you're looking around. She's got the twitchy eye,
But
looking at everyone who comes through. But yeah,
but
Jacob.
otherwise, pretty
Yeah.
forthcoming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and you
still want them
can.
to know that we are like potentially infected.
So you just
Well,
say
right.
you don't know what happened at the very end of that encounter with the clown.
Yeah.
You just passed out and woke up here.
Exactly.
Still, I mean, still equally as suspicious, maybe, but
Yeah, but
you
still.
just blacked out. Okay.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I'm eager to try to make contact with Delta Green. I think it may make sense for us to team up. I really can't hope to replace this fallen teammate of yours that sounded really amazing, but
He's
I can
irreplaceable.
try my hardest.
Mm-hmm.
I know I won't measure up, but
Do I still have the remnants of the phone?
You do. Yeah.
So I take out the phone and I first of all see if it's still got a bug in it and is still full of
At this point, yeah, since you
oil, or is it?
yeah, since you sort of cracked the back before, and so this time you're able to sort of force it open again, and there's still this like dirt and plant matter and this vial nestled inside with a bright green leaf with a tiny gold bug on it. You sort of check that maybe surreptitiously under the table and close it on up, and you close it up, and the thing goes, and you turn it over, and it has half a charge.
Always have
Stop.
to have a charge.
Wait, do you tell us about? I mean, obviously, I don't know about the bug, but did Willow know about the bug? You didn't tell. You didn't have a chance to tell Willow. Or
Yeah,
did
we
you?
didn't really get a chance to debrief on the whole thing, did we? Because we were just
No.
thrown right into it.
By the
And
way,
how
Will,
much do you want to tell us about the?
he just drops the vial into one of our coffees. We'll find out.
Why would you ruin good coffee? I mean, it's not like you're ruining
I was just gonna say, good coffee. Who's drinking good coffee around here?
That might be the nicest thing to happen to a Dunkin' Coffee.
Yeah, what do I do with that phone? No,
You tuck it away for now.
tuck it away for now. It doesn't need to be used. I don't think it goes to the people we think it goes to.
So yeah.
That's all you say. You don't. You.
Well, right. So Charlie's raised the issue of contacting Cell A, which I will say both Jacob, you, and Willow know of. I won't say it's necessarily the same way, but you know of two options. One is that that when you joined, you were each given a number to call to leave a message at. And you were told, make sure that the number of the line you leave is secure. That'll contact Cell A. You also do have contact details for Agent Marcus from back in 1995. You haven't necessarily tried them out recently, but you do know that still exists.
Sorry. How did they get the that satellite phone again? Who gave it to them?
Agent Vance during the briefing.
That's right.
Their very official briefing.
It was one of his guys.
Over fried ravioli.
So I guess I explained, hopefully in my brief, how part of my team was turned and then we were captured. So that seems to be consistent with what you found out. That
Yeah. So once you mentioned Vance, and that Vance kind of went cray-cray. Then I'll whip out the phone and say, Vance gave us this, and I don't think it goes anywhere good.
And how do you know that?
Yeah. Click.
You pry it open a little bit and show them.
You show them, then you close it up.
Yeah.
Beep.
Mm.
And you turn it over. Half a battery.
Charge.
Decent signal.
So I don't know what those bugs are, right? Because I don't think I've come into
No?
contact with them yet.
You do know that a cell phone usually isn't filled with dirt and a bug, though.
Well, I'm old school Boston, so we don't really trust technology.
I was just gonna say, for all you know, all phones are filled with
Right.
with dirt and bugs.
Stop.
That makes perfect sense.
Definitely
Oh,
top.
mine open.
I heard from my cousin Sheila. Yeah. That's how phones work.
Yeah.
That's how phones work.
The bugs talk to each other. Yeah. All right. So yes, you have the matter of contacting cell A. That's what
Mhm.
Charlie's put up. You also have this this letter from the law firm.
Do human how?
Mm-hmm.
What law firm was it from?
The law firm.
So you've said it. You've said it to me probably 4 times, and it's long enough that I haven't bothered to try to write it down.
I will tell you which law
So are you
firm.
going to start like a fresh note sheet?
Oh yeah, is it time for fresh notes?
Is it?
Well, now I have the back of the new.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
All right, it
I don't know why I picked
is.
different types of.
Different sized papers.
Helps. It just helps with the craziness, right? I've got.
Oh, you got a pinboard ready to go there.
Fantastic.
That's the way I
It's a
don't think
nice, yeah, it's a nice effect. I like
Yeah.
it.
So it.
but,
Sorry, I was going to get worried when I started taking.
Oh, fantastic! I want to see it. It's the law firm of Keyes, Norris, Ingalls, and Grant.
We should probably spend the next half hour trying to find out what their enneagram's for. Keyes, Norris, and Grant. What's the third one? Keyes, Norris,
Ingalls.
Ingalls,
Ingalls.
and Grant.
Mm-hmm.
There's something there.
good old king.
Mm.
So which way do we go?
Well, I don't know if we want to go. I don't know if we want to go to a law firm that might be.
The king.
Fair enough.
That's their advertisements on. Oh my goodness! Now the glassware is getting fancier. Oh goodness!
Oh man.
Why would he be bringing me drinks?
I know. Hot dang!
Jason, hang on. We'll be there in 10 minutes
With
with half a bottle of flat ginger ale.
yep, and about an eighth of a bottle of bad whiskey.
I've got some bad whiskey to help us out. So
Yeah,
There you
good.
go.
All right.
We're bringing the ginger ale. We're good.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, there he is.
right. So yeah. So the king is inviting us again to the court. Somehow. I mean, it's not quite. And king doesn't say K-I-N-G. It's K-A-N-G-I-G, but still, it's king.
Hmm.
Oh.
Wait, Chris,
Chris
talk.
can't hear you.
There's no sound. Mm-mm.
Got him.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Charlie, no!
Charlie, no, not again. Yeah, I know. I was gonna say the like Comet TV advertisements for looking for legal representation. We're the king.
Oh, good call.
Yeah. Have a face that you don't want anymore. Well, suck it off.
Oh.
Well, hey, somebody got a.
I know. It's
We
that drink.
lost
He
him.
spilled that drink all over his computer.
Mm.
Think so.
It's his just desserts, I'll tell you, for lording it over us.
Um, yeah. So, and it was on yellow paper, wasn't it?
I mean, a fine yellow linen.
Mm.
Just the envelope. So what it is it's this nice envelope, um, the name and sort of handwritten on the front, the address of sorts, and yeah, sort of sealed with wax on the back.
Oh boy.
What do you think about trying to contact Agent Marcus?
He wasn't particularly helpful before, but I guess we could try.
Mm.
He was more skittery when we started talking out in
It's
public
true.
and that than anything else. I can't hear you either.
I can't hear you. Is connecting to audio. Nice.
There we
that
go.
cocktail was so strong that it knocked me off the call.
I was going to say it'd be poetic justice if you spilt it on your system, and
There's
Oh,
just
was
burnt
I
orange
boasting too
peel.
much?
There's burnt orange peel everywhere.
burnt
Yeah, when the
motherboard, burnt
firemen
orange
come, they'll be
peel,
like, "This is what apparently caused the."
the electrical fire.
It's just jealousy.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what we're working with here.
I know.
Come on.
Sip
Give me that
away,
glassware.
sip away.
Get out of here with it.
I'm sorry. What's self-respecting
Love it.
Colin would?
Well, so Jacob and Willow were just saying, sort of weighing the relative merits of Agent Marcus versus Direct Line to Cell A.
Where do you come down on this? What would be your next move?
Well, if we felt like we had a reliable connection to Cell A, I would love to go right to that because I feel like it's extremely urgent. But I don't see why we can't sort of try to do both, I guess.
Well, we haven't talked to Marcus in like 10 years and
Yeah.
20 years.
20
Sorry.
years.
20 years. And he wasn't the most like forthcoming guy when we first saw him. So I don't know. Maybe he's part of the conspiracy too. I don't trust anybody anymore.
Oh, I definitely don't.
That makes three of us. What a team we'll make.
Ugh.
Mexican standoff. That's how it ends.
All right. So then we are,
Guess you're calling in. So
calling in. But how do
Right.
we ensure a secure
on
line?
the State Department phone, right?
Yeah, State Department phone, absolutely.
Okay.
Are you now? Before you doing this, are you checking the letter?
Sure, we'll check the letter.
All right. Who's opening it?
Well, I've got bureaucracy 80, so I can.
You can open a letter like a pro.
Oh man, he knows how to open a letter.
Crack that seal.
And he pulls out his fancy letter opener and
Yeah.
flies over.
One swipe.
So, yeah, one swipe exactly.
So smooth.
So what you do? Here we go. Inside the envelope is this thick piece of cream-colored stationery that's been folded over onto itself, and the front of it, the front of the stationery reads Hotel Brodelbin in this Art Deco font, no street address. And on the back, and on the front, I should say, it sort of says, "Dear Jacob, dear Willow, dear Charlie," and you turn it over, and on the back you see this written out. The script is a little dense, but Jacob, why don't you, if you're able to enlarge it, why don't you give it a shot and see if you can?
Or can you repost that? I lost it somehow. Or can I get it back?
Yeah, I'll push it again.
No, sorry, I got it. Maybe I don't got it. I'm having some Roll20 issues.
No, don't worry.
Yeah, I think
You got it?
I may not be capable of reading this.
No, that's fine. Jacob or Charlie, you feeling brave enough? I'll tell you the name at the start. Find J.C. Linz.
Find J.C. Linz at Hotel Broadland. Go now. Find the hotel, the labyrinth. The author, his bottle. Is that
The city.
the city? That's what I thought. The lake, its shadow. The battle, then the party, the dance. The girl in blue, the one singing, nothing is true except out and through. Love and kisses, Abby.
Okay, so wasn't the Broadalbin the hotel that didn't exist?
The Hotel
Yeah.
Broadalbin. Yes, the hotel that didn't exist.
The
Well,
labyrinth.
Asa
the author.
Darabandi's last known address.
We
And
need to go now to the hotel that does not exist.
you know that
The lake, its shadow.
Oh.
So Jacob and Willow, this sort of triggers a recollection for you both, thinking back to the conversation you had with Timothy Bale when Jack was still with you, hurriedly walking through the maze-like basement of the Dorchester house, as he told you about the play at the center of all things, and how it emits, how it broadcasts from Carcosa, the seat of the king. And that he said Carcosa is a place you need to get to from outside of the night world. And that when the time was right, he said, reality would arrange itself to make that transit possible.
we gotta go back to New York.
So,
I mean, I know where the hotel's supposed to be.
Yeah, but every time we go into a place, well, I'm sorry, from what you've told me, every time you guys go into a place, you get trapped.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
I mean, I think I've been at the court of Carcosa. I mean, I did learn a little bit of Flacian or whatever it's called.
yeah, Tartessian.
Tartessian. Tartessian. So I feel like it's, escapable if you drink the Patsu. But I didn't mention the Patsu yet. I don't know. What do you want to do, Willow? I trust you more than you trust the new guy.
Trust no one, man. Trust no one.
Trust the squirrels.
That's right.
Trust the squirrels. That's right. So you have this
Start
letter.
shaking my head.
Yeah.
Like, these two are what I've got to work with.
Stuck with us in our blue culotta, man. This is where you are.
Well, you said reality's gonna arrange itself. So I think that the hotel will actually be there if we get there in time, and we can actively go into it opposed to being sucked through at night. Maybe we enter a day.
Like we did with the apartment.
Well, the apartment was always there. The hotel wasn't. If the hotel's there during the day, then we can enter during the day. If not, if we have to wait till night, I guess we wait till night. But I I think we need to actually go to where the hotel was supposed to be.
What do you hope to accomplish by doing that?
Go through to Carcosa. It's our destiny, man.
Why don't we get support from Delta Green?
Sure.
All right. So, all you said you have Jacob's secure State Department phone.
Yeah.
And are you going to go ahead and sort of find a place, make the call, leave a message? Yeah. Beep, 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 beep. Tiny little phone. Yeah.
Tiny little flip phone. Yeah.
Pull out your molar, and it's sort of a flip phone in your molar. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think we call it in.
And give me the gist of what you say in that message.
Help me out here, guys, if you have any other suggestions. But I say that we need to get transportation back to New York immediately. To go to the location. I gave him the address of the hotel where it's supposed to be. Like
Yep.
we across from the statue. I say that we're going to try to shut down the play by traveling to Carcosa.
And is that how you put it? Are you like we're gonna shut down the play? Do you say like, do you mention Leroy and Jean? Do you say the King in Yellow?
I don't know. Are they really on our side?
I think the less you can say while getting the gist across, maybe at this point, the better.
But I think if we indicate that we want to do these things and we give that level of detail, then it definitely may sound like we're like going down the path that other people have that have
failed,
disappeared, or been converted or corrupted. So I think if we do this in the context of trying to figure out and shut down whatever's happening, and want support doing it, and they can send more people or resources or whatever, then at least it sounds like we're trying to operate within the confines of Delta Green, and also trying to confirm to them that Dorchester House is completely corrupted. Whitwer's stuck there, not sure if he's been corrupted yet, but it's a bad scene that somehow the three of us separately escaped, or I escaped separately from them,
and so you're mentioning we got Agent Valentine, we got Elias, we got Elm, and that's who we have, and yeah. So you leave that message, and a few, I'd say, maybe about 5 or 6 hours later, your phone rings, and it's an automated message. Okay. Or I should say a robotic voice delivering an automated message that says, thank you for your message. Your rental car will be waiting for you at the Trivolino Mall in Uxbridge, Massachusetts, tomorrow at 11 p.m. All renters are required to sign the necessary documentation. Thank you for your service, or no, thank you for your business. And it repeats on a loop. So the Trivolino Mall, Uxbridge, which you know is about, it's just sort of southwest of Boston, 50 kilometers or so. Tomorrow at 11 p.m.
Okay.
Those of you who are locals, Charlie, you would know this. The Trivolino Mall is you know vaguely about it, which is that it's sort of right off the MA 146, like sort of right off the state highway. It used to be sort of a decently sized mall, but you have a feeling like it was relatively new, like your who knows, your cousin or whoever else in town, who was very excited about the new stores that were going to be there, and then it closed, it shut down a year or two back, as far as you know. So that is what you know.
So an abandoned mall at 11 p.m.
Sounds great.
Nice.
Do we really think this is Delta Green at work? I mean, without speaking with somebody, how do we know?
That's all we got.
Should we call Agent Marcus? I mean, it's your contact.
I'm not a big fan of Agent Marcus. But
you prefer automated messages telling us to go to abandoned mall?
Compartmentalize.
Yeah. Well, and what I will say is you can so you have basically a full like day. Well, at this point, 8 hours in. Let's say that let's say you have roughly like a day and a half, day and a quarter that you have to do any prep you want to get ready for what you would assume is a debrief, because that's usually what would happen sort of after an operation, successful or not. And that could include further research, or sort of investigating, or surveillance, anything of the sort that you would want to do in preparation around town, or at the Trivolino or related to it. So you have that as an option. But I think for now, we'll leave that for the next session. Your debrief and subsequent planning from here as this newly established group.
I don't know about this Jolly. Or this Trivolina Mall. Or this Coolada. I have a lot of suspicions. Not a lot of sanity.
You think it does any good to keep the dirt phone? Because it just gives what I think to be the bad guys another way to reach out to us or maybe track us or do something else.
Maybe they're tracking us. I'm
new to the group, so I'm not going to try to.
I don't like those bugs. I don't like the bug phone. I'm open to squishing the bug.
Ooh.
Yeah, you put your shoe down, and then when you lift it, it's somehow burrowed into your.
I know. Don't step on it. Don't. Ooh.
Just smack it with the shoe.
A trash compactor, or
that's right.
Find a furnace, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, if you wanna ditch it or do something.
Let's drive out to I'm sure Uxbridge is near a like aquifer or like a water supply. Let's just throw the phone into the aquifer and
yeah.
or the reservoir, I mean, and maybe it'll drown the bug.
Go
I'm
for
ready.
it.
I'm ready to like smush the bug on the Ducky's table.
Okay, go for it.
Everyone
man.
looks over
Maybe
when
drop it in the.
Jacob's sort of wooden shoe heel smack, crack, like there's a small little tinkling of glass, and yeah, you squish that bud darn good. And its sort of greenish interior is well smushed across this leaf. And as you watch, the bright green leaf sort of shrivels and browns and curls at the edges.
Or leaf.
That's like our first victory in like a month.
And
Yeah.
you close up
Get
the
rid of
phone.
that bug.
Yeah, you close up the phone. It doesn't turn
No,
on.
we did like the was it called the is it Office Space?
Yeah.
So that's a phone. We all took turns stomping and smashing.
You went out back out back of the dunks.
Yes.
That's when you're just going to town. That's right.
So good. In the parking lot.
Yeah, I
I'm
won't
sure if that
even.
was a good idea or not, but it's done. So
Well,
Decisive
and
action. I support it.
I feel
All
like
right. Well,
you know
it's
me.
not a bad idea.
I'm one for decisive action. Not
That's
necessarily smart action, but decisive.
Decisive.
Trying
like
to,
it.
I don't think it's a bad thing to like try to limit the. I mean, we know it's a bad thing, right? So
Well, we're not sure it's a bad thing, but it came from a guy that we don't trust.
Mm-hmm.
It has literally a bug in it, and
we know it's the
from
same bug
1995.
that Vic consumed and Vic.
Went floating off into the ether. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can't imagine it's good for us. It doesn't have any positive points. So,
All right.
Squish.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Fun.
now I don't have any of my magic items anymore.
Oh, that's the real reason why I want to hold on to it. We'll find you a wand, I'm sure.
I was just gonna say you're gonna wait until Jacob starts walking around with a cricket bat and calling it his magic scepter.
Yes.
His
Scepter
Iron
power.
Mace +1.
That's right.
So good.
Mace
Yeah,
plus
you know
2.
what's so good?
Yeah. Oh man. Boo. Yeah. Good to the last drop right there.
Mm.
Jeez Louise. All
Oh
right.
yeah.
Good night, everyone.